when to the sessions of sweet, silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore-bemoaned moan, which I knew pay, as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end.
Very good. Very, very good. The only thing I say, Joe, is that some of the phrasing points that you made as you did them sounded maybe a little mechanical.
Mm.
But you can do the suspensions and still give me more of a sense that the trajectory is continuing. But I think the mechanical quality I think can be eliminated if you will free your breath a little bit more. I mean, the thing that I really just found so helpful this last thing that I did, I mean, I really worked on relaxing my jaw. Just every time I felt my jaw tightening up, I just dropped it. Because what I had found that when the jaw is tightened, you lose a good 40% of your range in voice. I mean, it's a killer. And so I dedicated myself to finally freeing myself of a tight jaw. And as soon as I felt it going in rehearsal or in preparation at home, when I felt it getting tight, I just had to get it in my motor memory to stop. So that may be one of the reasons that I heard a mechanical quality. Try it again.
Okay. When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste.
Very good. Hold on, Joe.
Yep.
So, were you taking real breaths?
I'm not sure. I know there was the part between the summon up remembrance where it was like almost a breath but not a breath.
It has to be real.
Yeah. I was kind of undecided as to whether I was going to breathe or not.
That's when you can really drop the jaws, when you take the breath.
Mm. Okay.
And why also posture is so important. That your chest is expanded, that your shoulders are pulled back, I mean, not unnaturally, but that you give the chest cavity all the space and freedom that it needs to be able to take a full breath in the shortest amount of time. And that was really good, but I'm positive that you weren't taking real breaths at some of those phrasing points.
Yeah.
Try it again.
Okay.
That's why that will give it a sense of the mechanical, and it gives it less flexibility. It has a more rigid quality, even though it's very high quality work that you're doing. Can be much more. It can still be more flexible.
Sure.
And the breaths are key to it. And what I was telling Brian also, Joe, practice. When you're preparing, make notations of every logical place you could take a breath. So it's almost like you're looking at a course across a lake, and you're have to swim from one point to another point, and before you do the swimming, you're dropping lifesaver vests that you could swim to, right?
Yeah.
And so every logical place that you think you might be running out of getting tired, you put something there, then you know that it's there, and that you can stop there and put it back on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it is. And then later, as you begin to really understand and know the piece, you don't require as many. But you know that, because the main thing is that you don't go in with the main thing is that you have to know that you're free, and that you have all these logical places where you can breathe and allow the engine to get breath to move the thing forward. That's the reason for breathing, so that the engine can move. Okay?
Yep.
When you're ready.
When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought,
because even there, Joe, logically you could do
sweet.
When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought, I summon up remembrance of thing past. I mean, it was a lot of breaths that I just took, but they were logical.
Yeah.
And so, if I choose not to use all of them, I'm going to have great flexibility because I have so many choices. When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought, I just took 2 breaths, one after sessions, one after sweet. I summon up remembrance of thing past, so that you have enough breath to really invest the phrases, the language, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought.
Hey, hold on, Joe. So now, when you're taking your breaths, that's when you formulate what you're going to say next.
Yeah.
So that the breaths and the formulation are not two different things. That's what's kind of giving it a mechanical quality too.
Yeah.
If you're taking the breaths, but you already know what you're going to say, right? The breath allows you to discover what it is you're going to say next and how you're going to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't feel very comfortable right now.
Oh no, it's because it's what we do normally. So don't let that frighten you.
Yeah.
Because it's a great thing that we normally do, and if you would just allow yourself the time to do it, then you'll see how naturally it comes to you.
Okay. When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes, new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye, unused to flow, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily, from woe to woe, tell o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I knew pay, as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, old losses are restored, and sorrows end.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. It's amazing how long it's taken me to be able to convey these ideas. How long have we been working on this?
Maybe we're just slow learners.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Now, what I mean is that's exactly true. I mean, that is so true that the breaths allow us to formulate how we're going to continue the thought. That's what you did. You did it beautifully. Right, Brian?
No, yeah, very, very much so.
I mean, it was just alive. And nothing false. And of course, you can only until you've done all the work, all the technical preparation.
Yeah.
But this idea of logical, plausible places for breaths, if you know them all and have made those choices where you could take a breath, then you're free. You're free because you know that you're never going to run out of breath and then be caught in some, no man's land of having to take a breath at an illogical place that makes no sense in the sense that you're trying to convey. When I was starting rehearsals in Tucson, I said, God damn, I wish I had memorized this stuff. Of course, it would have been really hard because it was like 60 pages of text. So that's why they allowed me to read it. I only had like 5 days of rehearsal.
Was this an
then I
actual
realized-
performance that you did, or a it was
Staged reading.
a staged reading?
There was a,
Okay.
It was a performance. It was a celebration of Astor Piazzolla's music and life, and I played him narrating his life, right?
Huh.
With the ballet company dancing to his music, and just a beautiful, beautiful concept that the ballet company came up with. I mean, the audiences were stunned. The beauty of this guy's music. And the guy who wrote the text did a wonderful job. And he was there for me to work with, and the ballet company doing this, this wonderful choreography. It was just a beautiful evening. It was just only 4 performances that we did. But when I first started, I felt so hampered by the fact that I hadn't had it memorized, right? And so what I finally figured out was that before the first performance, I had to go through and make all of my plausible choices. So my script was marked. Every phrase, every line had 3 or 4, seemed like plausible places where I could take a breath. And so it was in dressing rehearsal when I relaxed. I was able to relax and say to myself, I can do it. I don't have to be uptight. Just give myself to this process. And that's when I realized that the logical breath is much more important. It is so important. The more you have available to you in your preparation, because that's what really gives the flexibility to the material. And then if you use the breaths organically, in a sense that it's not just mechanical, but that you're actually using them as a place to formulate how you're going to continue the thought, then you really have life, true life on stage. There's nothing false about it. In the same way that you would take a musical phrase, it's much easier to find an illogical place to breathe in a musical phrase. My country is a right? Very illogical. So this was a huge thing, a huge understanding that I got in this project, because I was forced to read, and I had to find a way to give it life as if I was not reading it. Breathing, logical breathing choices was the key, and actually breathing at those places. Knowing that the suspension, because it's a logical place to take a breath, then I can hold the audience. But it also gives you so much flexibility with the phrase itself, because now you can invest, which is important that you did right now. You can invest in the words, in the language, in a way that I've never seen you do this piece. Because you have all the breath in the world to do whatever you want with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really the key. Read it again.
Okay.
You can make it just as beautiful as it was the last time.
Okay.
It'll be different, but it'll still be beautiful.
When to the sessions of sweet, silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes, new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye, unused to flow, for precious friends, hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of forebemoaned moan, which I knew pay, as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end.
You did it again. Beautiful. You did it again. And it has this great quality of feeling like you're playing an instrument, doesn't it? I mean, now you're really playing your body and your mind.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of freedom. It's like when you first learn a sonnet and you get it memorized, but then there's so much work to do to get to the point where you're actually comfortable with it, and then you can play with it.
Yeah, and you get to a place of a quality that you never dip below. It will always be a high quality, because you know what the sonnet is about and you know how to convey it. And so, you can do it anytime. I think also, when you have to get into your motor memory, Joe, I'm working on this myself. The jaw. Get it in your motor memory. Even in your daily life, when you're talking, when you're sitting around reading, listening, when you feel your jaw tightening, your mind has to recognize it and then just let it drop. And when you're doing it in performance, it's on the breath that you can do it. That is the most comfortable way of doing it. When you take the breath, you can feel it dropping. And you drop it from the hinge. Not the chin, from the hinge. And it's ever so subtle. No one has to see you do it. All they do is see you breathing, but they don't realize that you just, So once you get it into your motor memory where you can feel that it's tight, and then you can feel how you just relaxed it, and hear this resonance that gets cut off when you have a tight jaw. It's amazing how much resonance, literally 30-40% is lost with a tight jaw. Maybe more, I don't know, but it feels to me like I've added that the resonance is so much freer. I mean, I can feel the resonance. So when I was working, and also the other thing, I had discarded the cork for the last time that I did this play that we were touring. I discarded the cork, and when I went to Tucson, I made sure that I took my cork and I used it, and I'll never discard it again. down and keep it in place.
Hmm.
I held it in my hand so that I wasn't pressing down on it too much, right? Because then your
Then
memory
your jaw
starts-
tightens. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I was doing exercises, I kept it in my mouth, and I did humming or any of the other exercises that we do, or vocal exercises, with the cork in my mouth part of the time. And it just opens the back of the throat, and then you drop the jaw, and the jaw is relaxed, and all of a sudden you have resonance.
Hmm.
And you can feel it. You can hear it. So, these last, when you review this, Joe, it's so beautiful that I can really hear the sonnet. Things made more sense than they ever did before.
That's good.
The precious friends hid in death's dateless night. That can either sound like beautiful language, or it can sound like a profound thought. And you want the profound thought. Forget about the beautiful language. That will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. I could really understand. And it's like these sonnets have so much energy, flex, density. They really do. Because they say so much with so little. Just a little bit of nuclear energy can move. These are not powered by gasoline. They're powered by nuclear energy. Because they're just so dense in thought. And so when you can convey the complexity and the density of the thought, you're just overwhelmed by the beauty of it. Yeah. And by the depth of the thought, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I say it really is a matter of energy, flux, density. It's the difference between Shakespeare and somebody else. Keats gets there. Shelley gets there. They don't get there all the time. But they do, occasionally.
Yep.
So, I don't know what to do with this anymore. These last two times, you really got it. I really understood, and you were right on and living and flexible, and so I don't know what more we can do with this.
Okay.
We've distilled it down to two or three really important ideas, and that is plenty of logical phrasing points that you can choose from. Eventually, you'll choose the best ones and stick with them. But because we're not mechanical and we're human beings, things can happen from one moment to the next where you've made a choice but you've forgotten, or so it can be, you're flexible to change, and it still will work because you have so many life preservers out there to choose from. And then the idea of the breaths really being the places where you formulate how you're going to go, how you're going to continue the thought. It's in that breath that you formulate how you're going to continue the thought. Both of you did that very, very well. Joe, you were especially good I think Brian is still getting a little of the rustiness. Getting rid of some rust that has set in. But that's such an important idea to keep in mind, is that the breaths help you to formulate how to continue, and then it gives you know that you have the breath, that you have the energy to be able to be much more flexible in how you continue, how you're going to use that language to convey what you want to convey. Just those two things right there are something to really concentrate on. And then, of course, relaxing the jaw. Mm-hmm. The three of us all have to work on that.